notice something glowing falling from the ship, so Gran wonders what is the light that might have fallen. So Vern replies it might be some wreckage. So Gran pulls his sword and tells Vern let's go see what this is. And they really find some of the wreckage and keep exploring. And they find a blue shining light, so they head towards it. And they find a girl shining from the crystal in her chest that gave that light, so they go to her and try to wake her up. And when she wakes up and Gran asks her are you okay, she replies with fear I am fine but a bit tired, so Vern tells her I never saw you before, where are you from? So Lyria cannot reply from confusion, and Gran says to her with amazement on his face, don't tell me you are the thing that fell from the ship. So Vern replies to him no, impossible. So Gran tells Lyria, if you are in trouble we can help you. She replies thanks to you. So Gran introduces himself and Vern, and asks her what happened to you. She starts to remember, and tells him I was imprisoned in a dark place for a long time and Catalina told me she will take me out of it. And we were trying to escape from the soldiers. Suddenly she remembers Catalina, and asks did any of you see Catalina? So they reply we don't know who Catalina is, so what does she look like? She replies Lyria she is a beautiful and strong girl. So Gran tells her while helping her up then let's go look for her. Suddenly they hear the sound of soldiers coming at them. So Lyria screams we must run quickly. So Gran asks her are these the ones who were chasing you? She replies yes. And here Gran pulls his sword while reassuring her don't worry I will protect you, and one of the soldiers shouts at him and tells him it is better for you to hand her over, so Gran refuses. And the soldier attacks him, so Gran stabs him and he dies, and he attacks the second soldier and breaks his sword and takes him down, and Gran tells Lyria let's go look for Catalina, but first we must let the villagers know what is happening, and they find one of the soldiers moved, and pulled a weapon from his pocket, but he does not point it at them, but points it to the sky. And we discover it is a signal flame for the soldiers so they know their location, so they feel the danger and escape, and Gran asks Lyria, who are these? She tells him they are from the Empire, and fear appears on Gran and Vern's faces, and Vern looks at Gran angrily and tells him making an enemy with the Empire is a stupid thing. And the soldiers manage to surround them, but Catalina suddenly enters and kills the soldier who stopped her, and happiness appears on Lyria's face when she saw Catalina, who continues fighting the soldiers, and the moment she reached Lyria she told her we must run now, and looked at Gran and Vern, and told them you too. And they start running in the forest, and when they get far from the soldiers Lyria asks Catalina, what will we do now? Catalina replies we will leave this island. And I have an airship, we will use it, but it is a bit far. And she asks Lyria will you be able to keep up longer on the island? She replies yes. So Catalina tells her I am happy nothing happened to you after all this. And Catalina introduces herself to Gran, and tells him I am Lieutenant Catalina from the Empire of Erst, and thank you very much for your help. So Gran asks her why are the soldiers chasing you? Catalina apologizes to him I cannot say the details, but we can say that Lyria is a special girl, and they had imprisoned her for a long time, but I wanted to help her escape from there. So Gran offers to take her to her ship, so Vern yells at him, and tells him will you put yourself in danger again? So Catalina tells him I will not allow anyone to get involved with us. So Gran tells her I will not rest until I make sure myself that the matter ended, and that you managed to escape. And also you will reach faster if we are with you. So Vern tells her even if she refused then it is done. Gran made his decision, and will do what he thinks, so Catalina agrees that Gran and Vern take them, but they must listen to her words. On their way they find the soldiers interrogating one of the island's residents, about a girl with blue hair. So the man denies I didn't see anyone like that. So the captain orders him to take him to his village, so the villagers will be forced to search for the girl with the soldiers, so the man refuses, so they pull his daughter from him, and threaten to kill her. Suddenly Catalina enters and kills the soldier holding the girl, and she is surprised by Gran's strength when he kills the other soldiers, and Catalina apologizes to the man for what happened, and Gran tells her we must move away quickly, and they really start to continue their way to the ship and Catalina notices the arrows coming towards them, and skillfully shields Gran with her sword, and we find that the leader of those archers is a man named Captain Pommern, who tells her you are very skilled in fighting but I will not forgive you for what you did, and Catalina had already noticed the arrangement of the soldiers around her and Catalina tells Gran take Lyria and run, but Captain Pommern laughs and tells her you surely realized what this formation means there is no time to escape. Suddenly a huge dragon with 7 heads appears and attacks Gran and knocks him flying, and slams him to the ground and attacks him with fire, until it surrounds him from all sides, and he cannot escape, and attacks him with its fangs and breaks the sword and causes him a big wound, and Gran falls among Vern screaming and crying over him and his attempts to wake him up. And Catalina screams at Pommern he is just a child, why kill him? So the captain replies mockingly the matter will not end with killing him, only if Lyria used all her power there will be more chaos than this, and you are still insisting on freeing her. So Lyria gets angry and tells him Catalina and Gran were trying to protect me and now I will protect them. Suddenly she gives her power to Gran who is unconscious, and he starts to see Lyria's shadow talking to him in his consciousness, and telling him use my power Gran, I am sure you will know how, and she stretches her hand to him, and he holds it and Lyria's crystal shines with the blue light. And Gran wakes up, and asks what happened, why do I feel different? And we find that Gran's wound disappeared, so Pommern gets angry and orders the dragon to kill Gran, and with all calm Lyria and Gran raise their hands, and recite the name Bahamut. So light shines from them to the sky, and from the middle of the light comes out a huge terrifying dragon named Bahamut. The captain gets scared of the dragon, and says what is this? But he gathers his courage, and says whatever you are I will not allow you to stand in my way, and orders his dragon to attack it. So the 7-headed dragon starts breathing fire on Bahamut, but there is no effect, and from behind the smoke Bahamut starts gathering his power in his hand, and attacks the captain's dragon. So the captain screams in despair, impossible this to happen, how did he know to kill it? And he says to himself I guess it is time to retreat, and orders the soldiers we must withdraw, and return to the Empire with a report about what happened. Then Catalina is astonished and asks herself is this Lyria's power? And Gran asks Lyria what is this? She replied to him this is Bahamut, and he is the one who helped us, and she pointed at the crystal so Bahamut begins to disappear, and while speaking Gran loses consciousness. And we go back to the past and find little Gran sitting in the forest reading a letter from his father. And its content is about the astral island and the huge dragons, and Vern comes to him and tells him you are still reading your father's letter. Gran replies to him I am very excited for the adventures in those places, one day I will be a skyfarer and go there. So Aron's voice cuts him saying you still want to go to Astral Island. Don't you get bored of this subject, it is just fantasy, nothing more. Gran objects and tells him no, it exists in letters, and in many books that talked about it. So Aron replies to him, and tells him you don't know if it is real, or not, and it might end up being just a story and fantasy. Until when will you keep believing in it? So Gran replies to him with determination no, it exists, and I will be a skyfarer like my father and I will go to Astral Island. And they start fighting and hitting each other, until Aron's father intervenes and yells at them, and punishes them, and talks to Gran, and tells him I know this letter makes you happy, but you are still young. When you grow up you will get the chance, and then you will be ready for it. Gran wakes up in the present, and finds himself in his house, and beside him Lyria, who cries as soon as he wakes up, and asks him do you feel pain from anything? So Vern and Catalina come to her voice and reassure him. So Gran asks Catalina what happened with the soldiers of the Empire. So she replies to him and tells him they withdrew from the island. So he asks her about the villagers, and she replies nobody got hurt or anything except you. You were the only one injured, you were dead. So Vern objects and tells her how is he dead? Catalina replies and tells him that he is alive thanks to Lyria's power, but magic does not bring back the dead, and Catalina tells them I need to tell you what is happening in the Empire. They were doing research on the crystals and Lyria was their way in those studies. So they were holding her for a long time, and I wanted to take her out and protect her, and Lyria's power lies in that she can control the beasts of Astral Island. And surely the dragon she summoned was from the beasts of the island. So Vern cuts her happily meaning, she is from the legends of Astral. She replies to him I don't think so because they all died long ago. So Gran asks her then what is she? Lyria replies we don't know, I have no memories before the Emperor took me. But I know I have great power, when you died I knew I could do something, and I was able to merge my power with you, that is why you are alive, but we cannot be separated. So Catalina explains to him meaning you two are now one being, if you separate you might die. And Catalina continues and tells him we were planning to leave this island before the return of the Emperor, so now you must come with us. And they go out of the house and find the villagers making a big feast and celebration for them. So Catalina cuts the celebration and tells them, we apologize, because we are the reason for the empire attacking you. So one of the villagers replies and tells them, don't apologize, the important thing is Gran is fine. And the rest of the villagers agree, but Catalina cuts them with her words and tells them, I cannot cause you more trouble, we will leave tomorrow, and Gran adds, I also will go with them. And they return to the house and Catalina repeats her apology to Gran. So he tells her, it is not your fault I died, and that Lyria gave me half her power to live. I remember, when you stretched your hand to me, I was the one who held it. I also wanted to live. Not only that, I wanted to travel. And there is a place I want to go because my father is there, and I don't know exactly where he is, but I will look for him. And Vern replies to him, I was sure you would say that, and I also want to go with you. The more we are, the more the fun increases. So Catalina tells them, seriously, there is a place that has the answer about Lyria's truth, and it is Astral Island. And they return to the villagers, and Gran tells them, I will go with Lyria and Catalina on the journey, and achieve my dream. So Catalina explains to them, and tells them, we will go to a place called the Dark Abyss. So the villagers are surprised, because that place is known to be full of ferocious beasts. So Catalina continues her words, and tells them, I learned that the location of the island is behind the Dark Abyss. So their words are cut by Aron's agitated voice, are you serious about the decision of this dangerous journey? And if you will go, why take Gran with you? He also will become a target for the Empire. So Gran replies to him, I was the one who asked them, and that makes Aron angrier, and he tells him, you never think logically. So Aron's father cuts them, and tells him Gran waited a long time to find his chance. And the time came to achieve his dream, and we all know that from the day he received the letter from his father, he was training for this moment. So Aron speaks sadly, and says, I also know this is your dream, and you are ready for it, but will you return to us again after you meet your father? So Gran replies to him, I promise you I will return again. And they are interrupted by Lyria's stomach growling, because she was hungry, so the villagers laugh at her, and they start eating. And when morning comes they prepare to depart. And Gran is surprised when he saw for the first time a real airship. So Aron's father tells him, the weather is nice and similar to the day your father bid you farewell. Venture, Gran, and see what your father saw and search for him. So Catalina operates the ship, but instead of going up it goes down, so Vern screams at her, and tells her, pull the lever up. So they fly above the clouds with amazement from them, and Gran says, I never imagined our island is that small, but I promised them I will return again, and surely I will return again. After not a long time in the sky, suddenly the ship falls with them onto Inghana Island, and is destroyed. But nobody gets hurt, and we find that on the island a person sees the ship falling. So he goes to them and inspects the ship. And he tells them, you destroyed the ship, and also burned the engine. This might never fly again, and he asks them who was piloting it. Catalina tells him, I was the one who piloted it. So he asks her about the temperature it was flying at, and its speed. So surprise shows on Catalina's face, so the man gets angry at her, and tells her, how did you pilot it, while you do not know these things? Go train before you use an excellent ship like this, and end up destroying it. And the man leaves while angry, so Vern says we need a place to rest, so Catalina tells them, then let's go to the city. So they head to the city, and their Gran is very amazed by the many people, and the airships filling the sky. So Catalina explains to him that the markets here are full of ship equipment, and also the island does not belong to the Empire, so there is no worry from them, and we can prepare ourselves and use a passenger ship, so we can continue our journey. So they go down to the city market, and there we discover Catalina's big love for cats and cute animals, and Gran's interest in swords. And a nicely shaped diary notebook catches Lyria's attention, so Catalina tells her, what do you think we buy it? And I teach you reading and writing. So Lyria is happy and buys it. And they walk to see the rest of the city, and are surprised by the buildings there, and by their shapes and sizes. And they stand before the castle, and Gran asks, what is this big building? An old local man replies to him, you like the castle, right? You are surely not from our island. So Gran tells him, we are visitors, but what is done in this castle? The old man replies, this castle is a resting place for merchants, so they enter, and rent a place to spend the night. Morning comes and they go to book on the ship, and discover there are no seats. And they hear the sound of a big ship in the harbor, and Gran likes it very much. And the man who received them, when they fell on the island, enters, and we learn that his name is Rakam, and he tells him, you have very good taste in ships, And as long as you love the sky and flying, then you must love ships, and know how to pilot them, and understand the movement of the winds, and know how to adjust the ship according to the winds. So Vern asks him, are you a skyfarer? Rakam replies, I was a skyfarer but now no, and he offers to take them to a place so they can see something, and when they arrive they are surprised that their ship which was destroyed became new again. So Gran asks him, how were you able to do this? Rakam replies and tells him, I was very skilled in these works. I will return it to you, but on condition someone who understands is the one who pilots it. They are interrupted by the sound of two boys coming asking them for help, so Gran asks them, what do you need us to help you with? One of the boys replies, we have an extra warship, would you like to take it? So Gran and Lyria nod veli believe, but Rakam tells them this talk is not logical at all, what do you want? So the same boy speaks, and tells them, what do you think you buy these apples from us? Here Vern's love for apples makes him run to them, but Lyria grabs him, and tells him Catalina warned us not to go with a stranger. So the boy says Lieutenant Catalina always gets ahead of us by a step, then he realizes he slipped and exposed himself. So his friend speaks while drawing his sword, and says now we must use force with them. Rakam pulls the ship's rope, and tells Gran the moment I give you a signal run, and he lets go of the rope and tells them to run, so Gran and Lyria and Vern run from the back door, but the two boys chase them and after not a big distance they manage to reach them. So Gran tells Vern take Lyria, and go to Catalina, and I will stall them here. Vern refuses to leave him alone, and the two boys start mocking him, and one of them attacks Gran with his crystals that explode, and a big fire forms so Gran blocks it, and we find plants moving on the walls and dropping the ceiling on them. And they shrink again, until they reach their owner, who immediately disappears, and here Rakam's voice comes from an underground passage calling them to come down, and when they go down Rakam tells them this is a secret corridor made during the war and addresses his words to Gran, and tells him you are very reckless and have a great future, but you must think carefully. On the surface above Catalina is searching for them and calling in a loud voice, and suddenly a small trapdoor opens beneath her and Rakam comes out of it, and tells her so you are Catalina, and behind him come out Gran and Lyria and Vern, so Lyria speaks and tells Catalina that Rakam is the one who helped them to reach her. So Rakam tells them I will not help you again and leaves. They all go to a restaurant and Gran tells Katerina what happened, and that the Empire is chasing them, so Catalina tells him the place is not safe, and we must leave as soon as possible. But all seats on the passenger ship are booked. We must think in another way. They are interrupted by the voice of a little girl, who tells them it looks like you have a problem. I can help you. And when surprise shows on their faces, she tells them I am Ciero and I have a shop. So Lyria tells her I am amazed that you are a child, and you have a shop. So Catalina apologizes to Ciero and tells Lyria she is not small, but from the Harvan lineage, and it is a lineage that does not grow but she is a mature person. So Catalina asks her can you get us by a warship to transfer us to another island? She replies unfortunately all the ships are not free, but I have a small ship for sale and at a good price. So Catalina tells her the problem is that we do not have someone who can pilot it. The girl replies and tells her it is hard to find a ship, but easy to find a retired captain here on the island. And one person in the restaurant adds like Rakam for example, who was a captain, but the commanders abandoned him, and he is now obsessed with his ship's wreck trying to fix it. So they decide to go to Rakam, and as soon as they arrive they are amazed by the beauty of his ship, and that it is not wreckage, and that he managed to repair it. And they hear the sound of soldiers coming so they hide in a small building, and the commander of the soldiers is a domineering person, whom Catalina already knows, and he boasts that he will kill all the people of the city, and when one of his soldiers objects he kills him. So a sound of agitation comes from Lyria and Gran. So he realizes there is someone in the building, and orders its immediate destruction. So one of the soldiers destroys it with a shell, but they manage to escape before the destruction. And when he sees them the commander immediately recognizes Catalina, and tells her glad I saw you Catalina the runaway. And he continues mockingly are you going to escape with this weak ship from the island? And he orders her arrest, but from behind a distant cave bullets come at the soldiers, and it is deliberate not to hit the soldiers and one of the bullets hits a door to an underground passage. So Gran realizes that Rakam is behind the attack to open for them to escape, and they all go down into the passage. And when they go down to the passage Catalina is worried, and does not know where this place leads, but Gran is reassured and a light comes from afar, and we discover it is Rakam, But he is angry and tells them, of course you will thank me again. But I was not helping you, I was protecting my ship. Anyway, this passage ends at my house. I will host you there today. And when they reach the house, they find it full of mess and drawings of ships. So Rakam apologizes to them for the state of the house and asks them, why were you near my ship? Gran replies, we were looking for you, because we need a captain for our ship. Rakam refuses and tells them, I will not fly except with my own ship. And he starts telling them about it, and says this ship has been there since my childhood, and I put all my effort to repair it, until I became skilled in fixing ships, but a storm happened and destroyed it again, and when I tried to fix it again I could not. And he continues, I was the one who chose my ship, and if it did not choose me, then it is not right to fly in the sky. And I know this is superstition, but I believe in it. And he directs his words to Gran, and tells him, Gran, you are a skilled person, and you will become something great, and I have no problem teaching you anything. And I am sure you will be able to learn. So Gran thanks him, and Catalina cuts them, and tells them we must warn the islanders that the Empire intends to wipe them out. And they thank Rakam, and before leaving Rakam offers to continue with them, and tells them, since I knew what the Empire is planning, then I must join. At that time the soldiers' commander is yelling at them about what happened, and tells them, how did Catalina escape us, and how did that sniper manage to distract you? But no problem, we will wipe them all out along with the rest of the island. And he asks one of the soldiers, is everything ready? The soldier replies, everything is ready and arranged. Suddenly the weather changes and the winds become strong, and Rakam is surprised because this is not natural. So Catalina says, what could be their plan? Could they have weapons able to destroy the whole island? Suddenly they are interrupted by the voice of the two boys who tried to kill them in the market. So Vern gets scared of them and tells them, you again. What do you want? Here Catalina understands and asks them, you want to take back Lyria? I will not allow you to touch her even. So one of the boys replies to her, no, we are not up to such big words. We are only still on our promise, and our offer still stands. So Lyria tells him, you really want to give us your warship? And the boy adds he does not need payment also. So Catalina replies angrily, we will not accept any service from you until we know who you are, and what your interest is in all this. So the two boys get angry and tell her, in this case we will have to use violence. And one of the boys attacks with his exploding crystals on Gran, but Rakam defends him and attacks the boy. And we find the other boy attacked Catalina, and Gran started to attack too. But suddenly we find the weather became worse, and tornadoes started to form, so the two boys retreat and say, this is the time to withdraw. The commander started executing his plans, and they escape. So Vern gets upset that they left without knowing who they are, and how they belong to the Empire, and still want to help them. So Catalina tells him the Empire is divided into factions, not all under one general. But Lyria feels a bad feeling because of the weather. Suddenly the tornadoes strike the houses and chaos is everywhere, and the houses collapse, and people run in every direction, and they resort to the castle, and they hope it will withstand the storm. And the sounds of the storm grow louder, so Gran and Rakam go out to explore, and the castle glass is destroyed. And they realize the castle will not withstand the coming storms. So Rakam asks the harbor master if there are any ships present. He tells him there is one ship at the dock. So Rakam asks the people if there is anyone who can pilot the ship. One of them replies to him, no one, but you can do this. Please help us at least save the children and women. So Rakam says, rely on me, I am used to flying in strong winds. And they go to the ship to prepare it for flying, and suddenly they find an airship